to take up. I want you to introduce yourself.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Rebecca King. I'm a native of Alabama and I moved to Atlanta 15 years ago. I live in Buckhead and I serve on 4 different committees of neighborhood oriented type item or committees, I should say, and also some neighborhood items that move over into Midtown and downtown. And those are with quality of life, sustainability, and affordable housing, and then also zoning that I work with for what's our neighborhood planning unit. Are you familiar with neighborhood planning units? Yes. Okay. And so I serve on neighborhood planning unit B, and then I also serve on the Buckhead Condo Alliance because we live in a condo. And so there are concerns that are different sometimes for single family neighborhoods, especially along the Peachtree Road corridor. And I have a 10-year-old. She does attend a private school. We decided on a private school because we didn't want to bounce around from, one, the initial school might be closed, then the middle school might be further away, and the high school might even be in a totally different direction. So I made the decision based on that and the fact that I wanted her to learn a second language early. So that was my other checkpoint or check mark, I will say, and what I was looking for. I am an educator by college degree. I have a degree in special education. I taught for 2 years in Alabama in a middle school, and then I worked in higher education on the staff side. So director of student activities, recruiter, cheerleading coach, anything they asked, I did.
So just a quick note, I am a mom. I have 3 children with special needs.
Okay.
And also I attend all 25 NPUs every month. So I'm always in your NPU. Sometimes I have a picture, sometimes depending on which phone I'm but I attend all of the meetings and I try to go and watch and learn and see because I live in Southeast Atlanta, what are other NPUs doing that's working and what can we do in our community that I see in other communities that's working. And I also watch the city. One thing I noticed attending all 25 is that in different NPUs, the city planner or, the different presenters will have the same information for all 25 NPUs, but they will present them differently at different NPUs. And so I watched that and took note, and I contacted the office about that. And thankfully they don't start recording them and it looked a little bit more unified because prior to it was, if you attend all of them, they all be all in different directions. They're never the same. So I just want to lift that up because that's a lot of what I do in my free time. I advocate and I go and I sit in and listen in other community meetings around the city of Atlanta to see what's working and what's not working. So I'll stop there. Miss Sherry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I'm Miss Sherry. Welcome, Rebecca.
Good morning.
I'm a parent of Vine City. My kids go to school at Hollis Innovation and Booker T. Washington Cluster.
Okay.
And my son attends Washington. Fifth grade.
Sherry, I think you got your hand over the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I said I work around parents. My niche is parents. And welcome, Rebecca. I'm here to listen and learn from you.
Well, thank you. And I'm hoping to learn from you as well. I did visit the Fish Fry Festival in Vine City and met I call them the Atlanta ambassadors, Miss Ann and Miss Margaret. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
So just to tell you a little bit about us, back in 2019, when the pandemic first started, we are parents, my children, and my situation is a little unique because I used to live on Cascade. And so my children attend school over there and they still do, but we had to move, unfortunately. Our rental home was sold and we had to move out and we're in Southeast Atlanta, but I let my children remain in that area, just so they can have a stable education family. And so one thing that I saw when the pandemic first started, everything was chaotic, but I wanted to get parents together in Atlanta Public School, from all schools, and we created this group called Atlanta Parent Buddy. And so in the group, we initially just started lifting up education stuff. And as the pandemic went up, down, and back up, we started connecting our families with resources for us housing, health, transportation. We continued the education piece. Some of our parents started jobs, and they started, their own business. Sadly, one of the parent that was close to me, she passed away 2 days ago from COVID. And so that's still kind of heavy on us. But we just wanted to connect the families with resources. And it's been very hard. And I know Sherry could lift this up way more. We've been trying to get in touch with the current administration so that parents can have a stake in what's happening in the city of Atlanta. And I thought, I don't really talk about me running, which is so weird in a lot of these forums, but I thought since I was running, how could I make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm connected with the city so that our families don't suffer as much as they did. I know that the mayor and school, I know that's different, but we noticed over the years, it's been a terrible relationship between Atlanta Public School and the city of Atlanta. And so we're looking to change that. And that's why we wanted to, meet with the candidates, and we wanted to have conversation, because in all fairness, if you look around at anybody's platform, there's very few people talking to parents. We have so many things like crime, which I know because I attend all y'all NPU. Buckhead is very concerned about, and we are too, but our voices never get lifted up. And we just want to help and be a part so that, we can help change the way the direction the city is going in. And so, just to kick off, I know Buckhead has really lifted up crime. Unfortunately, I'm born and raised here. I've seen crime all my life. I have, I know it may not look like it, but I've seen it. And so it's nothing new to us and our families, but I appreciate you guys for lifting that up because it's really a concern. And I wanted to know, how did you feel, or what do you feel you can do to help change the direction that crime is going in as mayor?
I agree with you. And I know a lot of comments have been made about why is crime now so important, and we haven't been good neighbors, honestly. That other neighborhoods have had crime, but you just go about your daily life until it affects you. And I think that's just being human. I think being what they would as the economic driver with the mall, you don't want to lose that retail. You don't want people not to visit Atlanta because they spend money, and that's important to all of us. So I wanted to make that comment first. In terms of crime, some of the things that I'm looking to do is that, and I love the pre-arrest diversion program, but it's voluntary, and it's only from 7 to 7, and it's not even on the weekends. So that's not realistic, because I don't feel like, crime doesn't stop. It doesn't have a time clock, and it doesn't stop at an intersection. And we need more programming around at-risk youth, because I think too, if you're, as an educator, if you are continuing to teach that this is a way to make money and get away with it, then that's a problem. We need parents involved. They need to sign on. And if it's not the parent, the guardian that is responsible for that child, because Lakeisha, it is extremely dangerous. I have watched these water boys run through traffic. I'm all for them making money. I really am, because I grew up babysitting. I grew up, cleaning the neighbor's house and helping and doing things like that to make money to buy my shoes or whatever was the current trend in clothes. But it is extremely dangerous, and it's not going to stop until something tragic happens. So we need that programming, that they also, busy hands. You don't want idle work, because if you're not working, then there's time or play for other things to get involved. And that's the problem. So I feel like with having more programming, getting these kids back in school, and sign on the parents to be engaged and involved. And if they're not, then how do we address that? Is that through more counseling? Is that through the state? You know, what are those avenues where it's A or B? And it might be C, D, and E. It's, you know, obviously we don't want to arrest just because it's on the books, but to maintain that, okay, this is not the way of life it's going to be. You can't keep doing this. So that pre-arrest diversion program is where I see making the most impact. I do believe in hiring more police officers, but I feel like that will give less stress and allow police officers to have more time in the community so that they're seen as a resource and not as a frightening person or a penalty. You know, they'll know that that person is on their side instead of trying to always be the bad guy, if you will.
Thank you for that. Resources have been a big issue. One of the parents who recently passed away, she was asking for resources. She was in the hospital on a breathing machine. And she asked she said, Waukesha, could you help me find resources? You know, I'm looking for some resources, you know. And when I learned about her death, I was so hurt. Because one, we was working together on getting her connected. But I was so heartbroken that she was in a hospital and she was worried about finding help, you know, and we know about the CARES Act, the funding, you know, but for some reason it's not reaching the community. We're on the heels of a real battle when it comes to housing. What do you see that you can do to help? Because me and Sherry have connected parents to Atlanta Housing and they have vouchers, but we have probably hundreds of families holding vouchers, but they have nowhere to go. And so how do you think that you can help as you're running mayor? How could you help shift and change this thing that's happening where we have so many people that's been displaced? We have funds, so we got the vouchers, but we don't have homes to put them in.
I would say reaching out to the apartment community and asking what their availability is. You know, if they have availability, how can we make that match where they don't lose money, but you have money? So what is that partnership? And is it also through the work, the employment? Where are they employed? And how can we also help with assistance from their employer to make that match where it all works together? It's not just a in situation for that affordable housing, that what training do we need to offer so that you go to that next tier or next job, that job opportunity that gets you in a higher level of income where eventually you're out. And it's not just affordable housing that is your goal, but it's ownership, or it's a place where, you know, you're at your home. So I think it's a three-prong attack. It's a nonprofit, it's the business community, and the personal dedication.
Thank you. Now, one big topic that has come up is the police training facility. A lot of people are for it. A lot of people are against it. We all believe, I truly believe, because I've been watching this. I think the police officers deserve better. I really do. I saw the pictures of the current training facility, and I was just blown away at the conditions that it was in. A lot of us, including myself, believe that we need a training facility. But for us, because it's near my home, I worry about it being in my area. And I know we have a lot of people who worry about the green space surrounding that area. How do you feel about that? They're going to vote Tuesday. I know this is going to be a huge meeting. Public comments is going to be long, probably. But what can we do? It's hard to please everybody, but what can we do to help move this along?
Well, I think it's that you can't please everybody, but you have to show the justification. You have to be transparent. It has to be a balance. And it might be that the public space that the residents are allowed to use it, allowed is, that sounds a little bit, I can't even get the word out on that, but where there is a partnership with the community and surrounding area where you're able to access it, not just allowed, but let's say access, where you can go. And then that way the children come up with a police officer that is friendly. They definitely need more, a better facility, but it's not just also a facility, because I did ask a commander in a zone, because at first my thought was that I felt like this training piece from working in higher education, that maybe it needed to be at a college or a university. And why do we need this? Not even necessarily a physical space, but what is it? Why aren't we contracting out? And the problem is that going somewhere else is that you might be 6 months to a year before you can get a course, because it's housed in other counties or other departments, their first priority. So Atlanta would never be first priority. So that is a very important reason. The other thing is when people say defund the police, or because we need counseling, or we need this, or we need that, but yet maybe if there's better training for the police officers, then it's not necessary to defund. The other unintended consequence of defunding the police, of course, is crime. But also, if you have a car accident and need your police report, who's going to give it to you? You need that for your insurance company. Same with going to, if you have theft, if you don't have insurance, but even if you want to go to the pawn shop and show these were your items, here's your information. If someone has tried to traffic them, or you find them online, you need a police report. So having enough staff for that is super important. But I really think too, having de-escalation courses, recognizing mental illness, because someone might sit back and think, oh, that's funny. Don't they, are they trying to be cute or whatever? But it really could be mental illness that's at play. And that person can't help themselves. So it goes back to that pre-arrest diversion. And then, it's the metric of if A, and if it's not A, then what's choice, 1 or 2 to get elsewhere where they need services.
That's very true. I recently took the neighborhood watch. They have 3 a year, so I took 2 earlier this year and 1 I think maybe about 2 months now. And I really enjoyed that program. I've learned so much. And when I was growing up, I have a different experience from what I see now. The officers was involved in the community, in the school, and we always had a great relationship. So a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, I'm not familiar with, and my kids are not either. I did National Night Out with the officers and firefighters. It was like a meet and greet as me being a candidate. And, I gathered some snacks for them, and, they bought some resources for me to pass out in the community. And so it was a very pleasant experience. I really hope a lot of people take advantage of it next year. I think it should be more, but that's the experience I remember coming up. I had that pleasant experience where the officers was always friendly. I think it was the officer friendly program. They always came into school. They was reading. They participated in PE. They even mentored some. So that kept a lot of us, out of trouble. And so I really wish we can get back to that. And I've been working because I serve on APAB Public Safety and Education Committee. And so I've been having conversations to see how can we get that back, because we all been working in silos in the city, and we're here today. And so I think we need to just look back on some things that really worked, because I think given that time, crime wasn't nowhere near as bad as it is now. And so that's just my experience. I know a lot of other people may have had different experiences, and I won't take away from that. But I'm going to ask you about infrastructure, and then I'll stop and give it to Sherry if she have any questions. My kids went to TAG over on Cascade. And so we live within 1 mile of the school, so we had to walk. And that's cool. I could use the exercise. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But I noticed it was so many stray dogs. It was so many cars that was running. I mean, not running, but racing up and down the street. And so I joined the PTA, the Go team. I partner up with Safe Routes to School, and we kicked off an initiative called Respect Cascade. And we got in touch with the city, the transportation commissioner, and he came out, he brought his staff out. And, you know, with the kids, the school, the city, we worked on ways to making sure that Cascade was safer. Around the school, it's much safer. We still got some work to do. And I know we recently got funding from Nakima Williams to finish out the project, but all over the city, that's just one story. All over the city, we have terrible sidewalks. We don't have the proper street lighting. We don't have, you know, bus shelters for the people that, you know, have to catch MARTA or public transportation. A lot of time people are standing in grass or on the street, or, you know, it's just terrible. So what do you think you would do, or what have you guys did in Buckhead that has worked that we should be doing all over the city?
Well, I think it's one, taking ownership, which I applaud you for doing. You didn't sit around, you got in there and figured it out. But two, I think the city should be more transparent, because I've called 311 and reported, but how do I know 50 other people haven't reported that same pothole? And last week I lost a tire in Midtown, and it was fairly new. I mean, only 2 to 3 months old new. And so having that, the money, and from what I understand, you can go to the city if you can prove and say that your tire, that money should be used for that pothole. That, I mean, that's a waste of resources. And I feel like, have you seen the realtor maps where you could look at a pin? If we could pin the pothole and then know how long it would be before it's fixed or when it's fixed, I think that's a resource that's lost when you've got all these people calling and taking the same information over and over. And if I know you've called about the pothole, I don't need, but we also need to be transparent about when it's going to be fixed. So definitely infrastructure in our building. One of the things I learned being our homeowners president is that by having a reserve study, you can track out how much you need per year to maintain and keep it. Now, you might not replace that item or repave or do whatever whenever that year comes up. You might decide, okay, we're going to keep that. We have a kitchen area. You might keep that kitchen because obviously the appliances are still working and there's no need, but yet you still have that idea of that money and maintaining that. And that's kind of the mentality I would like to see with the city. The other thing that I will say, some of the districts went ahead, which is sad because we're paying the city and then we're still paying for an extra tax, a percentage, and that T-Splost and everything to see and to repave and do that. That's, you know, you just need transparency on where all of the money's going.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been a very interesting process, you know, and as a parent, just getting involved and learning the different things that, you know, calling 311. I called 311 in March on a bus stop sign that's leaning over. I think, what are we in September already? It still haven't been fixed. And you know, it's so sad because I gotta say, that's one of the best service that the city has. That's something I would not ask for them to take away. But just like even with the police officers, we're asking them to do so much. You're asking the officers to look out for mental health and try to well, of course they'll de-escalate certain situations, but there are officers, you know, they're coming in to do a specific job. With 311, everything has been dumped on them now. You can call about everything in this city versus when it initially started, it was this, and this. And when I say they got right on it, they got right on it. Not that they're not getting right on it. I think what has happened is that people call into United Way and they have to send the information out to the correct agency to fix it. And that could possibly take months. And so I really love that service. I really think that's like one of the best services that we have in our city right now. And so I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Sherry. Miss Sherry, if you have any questions. Miss Johnson, thank you for joining.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Need Lauren. Parents are often overlooked, you know, a lot of programs and schools they normally run and deal with children and not the parents. When or if you become mayor, will you be willing to have a parent advisory cluster or advisory board where we can help you shape some of the issues within Atlanta? Because for example, crime, if had the mayor had partnered with parents and had them at the table, I think crime with the youths would have go differently. And
I agree.
okay. And basically she checked out, you know, it was no connection with parents and the city of Atlanta. And that's the missing link. And I think
I
if you
agree.
have one, it can lower crime. That was it.
I would agree, and I would agree definitely that we need a parental advisory board, because you don't know what everybody's going through. And some of the things that I did as a teacher, as Waukesha, you probably have been in on your IEP plan for your child. And I made sure I went to the parent. I found them at work. If I needed to meet them at 7, you know, for coffee or whatever, that's what we did. And I think we have to go and meet those parents and find those parents. You know, they could be working. Maybe that's why they're not coming to get their child, and we don't know, but that's the resource in those neighborhoods that we need to look to sort that out and help that child and help that parent. I wholeheartedly agree. You can't expect to change something if you don't have buy-in and have that information.
That's all, Sherry.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to hear your take on that.
Ms. Johnson, do you have any questions?
Currently at this time, no.
Okay.
Now, do you meet more than, you know, do you meet like once a month, or how does your parent group
So
check in?
we have we're online. We're only on Facebook because I didn't want to be all over the place. And so people just check in. They just check in daily. And you know, they send out some resources that they know about. A lot of them lean towards me and Sherry because they know we know a lot of different resources, or we know how to connect to resources. And so they lean on us to you know, they ask us questions and stuff like that. And so it's usually a 24-hour conversation. Sometimes we can go to sleep, wake up, something new happen. And you know, we just talk and we connect and we help each other find resources, because you know, we have a lot of family that's living in extended stay. That came up in a conversation yesterday that we've been just truly worried about. You know, their school age family. They have children that's in school. And so because they may have a voucher, but like I said earlier, it's hard for them to find stuff. And so I'm always, anytime I have some free time, I check in on them, see if they need something. Like I said, unfortunately, one of our parents passed away. And she started a business back last year. And I was supportive of her with that. And so I smile, but I'm so heartbroken on the inside, because I really tried to connect her and all the parents with so many resources. And I think we're having so many challenges that's kind of unnecessary. You know, I think in a lot of the development that has happened in the city, if we had some community benefit agreement, even for myself,
Waukesha, I don't know if it's me or you, but you kind of glitched for a minute. It could have been my internet. I'm not sure, but just repeat what you said, if you don't mind, after the big community benefits agreement.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I was saying that I believe if with all these development that's happening all over the city, if we would have a community benefit agreement, I think that would keep families more stable, especially the ones with children, because a lot of our family moved and they had to move on the outskirts. So even though they used to live in the city, and that's the other part, a lot of them don't even live in the city no more. They live in Clayton, Cobb, some. I know one went all the way up to Gwinnett, and we try to stay connected. I grew up off that village, and I had my neighborhood. I'm from the west side, the old Perry Homes apartment. And so we always had our neighbors that looked out for us. And even though a lot of them have moved away, we still stay connected. And we do a lot of one-on-ones because this is something that me and Sherry do that we rarely see a lot of people do. Not only do we connect families with resources, but we circle back around and we ask them, do it work? Did it work? Oh, it didn't? That's fine. We're going to go directly to the person who gave it to us and let them know this didn't work. We don't know what happened. You know, sometimes people be in transition, moving around. And so that has really helped our families get whatever it is they need. Because a lot of times, and we learned this with our school, I talked to the head social worker at APS, and she was saying, Miss How, we give out at least about 400 to 500 referrals a school year in some schools. She said, but we don't have the capacity to circle back around and, you know, make sure it works. And a lot of times the information is there, but it doesn't work for a lot of the families. And me and Sherry just have always tried to make sure that we took care of the families, you know, whether it's resources we find or out of our own pocket, just to make sure other parents don't have to go through a lot. The pandemic is a lot on its own. Just imagine if you're worried about your children, food and housing, you know, like that is so, and with complete transparency, I suffer from general anxiety disorder in the past. And so I know how it can be and how nervous you can get and how you can be so worried about something. And that's another reason why we don't see as many parents be engaged, because they have different things that they are faced with. And so for me, I just said, I cannot let this happen to somebody else. Once I want to say I conquered my anxiety, you know, I was like, I'm going to make sure I move forward and I be supportive any way I can to any parent that we come across. And so right now, me and Sherry is working on parents who have became, you know, business owners. That's our niche, because in the beginning, a lot of parents lost their jobs because, you know, the kids, they had school and then they didn't have school. And so some parents lost their job. And me and Sherry, it's about over 100 of us now. Me and Sherry said, hey, what you like to do? And they figured it out. We said, let's turn it into a business. Why not do what you love and have time for your family? And that's something that we haven't been able to see over the last couple of years. And so we're working on getting them engaged. Like I said, I attend all the NPU meetings. So we want them to be engaged and see what's happening. Because even for myself, if I was more engaged then, I would have learned that some development is coming. Some things are going to change, some new laws and zoning. I would know these things. So we're working on getting them engaged too, in that way, so that they can be prepared, you know, before things like this happen and get them to this point. So that's pretty much how we do it. And, you know, we've just been a champion. And I know Cher worked with parents specifically, and I do a lot with them as well. But I not only do things here in the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia, I do things nationally. I was on a call with the White House yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, Thursday. And so they are, and I know you may know, but if you don't, I'll tell you now, they have a lot of resources that's coming down for the eviction moratorium that's ending. They don't want the cities to just send them data. They want to get in. They want to make sure that the residents know that here are resources here for you. Go to your court date. We have resources that can help keep you in your home, because from the looks of things, the current administration want people to stay in their homes, and they want to get them connected to resources. So I did take note of that, and I've been sharing it, because I hear a lot of parents say, well, you know, I can't find it. I said, now I don't know what it's specifically, but I heard from the White House that it's here or it's coming. And so it'll be able to help you stay in your home, keep you stable. The kids can stay in their schools and their community, and people can live and let live. And so that's just a little of what we do. And we just wanted to reach out to you guys and make sure that parents from now on is part of the administration. They are right next to the mayor saying, listen, we know the water bars are out. Can we work on another way? Because I said this to Mayor Christine Reed. I said, could we have like a water bar stand or something? I don't know. My girls want to sell lemonade, and I'm going to do that for them real soon. Could we have like a water bar stand for them or something? They want to make money. I don't have the solution. I was just throwing it out there as a mom. But what can we do to make sure that they're safe, and the residents and the visitors here in the city are safe as well? And they can still earn money. I know they're young, and it's amazing because I ride around the city and I see, kids are on every corner and they're so young. But
Lakeisha?
I think we just need to find a
There.
safer way to do it.
I agree. I have some ideas on that, and I had pitched them to Sheriff Labatt, and I didn't get a follow-up. I knew there was the task force, but I think, again, it's beyond the task force. You got to meet them where they are. I mean, you can't meet in an office and expect that things will change elsewhere. And one of the things I had said are that some foundations need to be involved and help them, and there needs to be mentorship, but there also needs to be parents, because they are children and they're
Yes.
darting in and out of traffic. And I watched them during the pandemic when we would go out and walk. A green light started fighting in the middle of a green light at Lenox and the Loop right there at the corner of the mall. I mean, fortunately, everybody stopped for them, but it was serious. And I watched the older children beat on the head of a younger child and fighting around with the little ones. And I mean, that's no way to get out there and work hard and want to make some extra cash. So yes, I do have some ideas on that. I definitely think there's a way to help these young children become men, because I mostly see that it's boys. I don't see, every now and then there's been a female, but it's not been that many. But still, I mean, they need mentors. They can't continue like this because it's so dangerous. I agree.
Well, thank you so much. It is now 9:40 for this wonderful conversation. I know as moms, we get it and we know what to do. And thank God me, Sherry, and even Miss Johnson have the will to do it. Could you tell our parents how to get in touch with you?
Yes, you can go to my website, www.voterebeccaking.com. On there, I mean, there's Facebook, there's Instagram. My cell is 404-358-8116. I welcome text, put in the subject header though first, hi Rebecca or something, because sometimes you open things and you go, oh, okay, that wasn't meant for me, so I try to be accessible that way. Also, I have email Rebecca@voterebeccaking.com. I'd love to follow up with this conversation, you being involved with the MPUs. I will tell you one of the things that I did this past Saturday, my days are blurring together as I'm sure yours are, is that I went down and met neighborhood planning unit J, and we picked up debris, trash, and different things. And so I would love to see more of that. I would like for us each to cross over into each other's neighborhoods, so we don't have that perception or stereotype, because then we will have met someone, then we will know someone, and we won't be standing apart in different sides of the city, whatever that side is. So again, and I worked years ago in catastrophe insurance off Cascade Road. So I was familiar with the Beautiful. I've been down to the Spice House. I know where the restaurant is, but I always don't remember the name. So there's some good hot spots there. Mr. Everything is a friend. So
Okay.
yes, and those kind of people, resources in that perspective too. I think there's some help there where you can glean, what I call gleaning and learning from people. I said, it's not only about learning how to be wealthy, it's rich in knowledge. It's not just necessarily money. It's about knowledge, quality of life, and things like that. And I think we have a lot to learn from each other and glean. So, but please reach out to me again. I'd love to come and have coffee, whatever, meet you where you are, because
Yeah.
I get out. Don't worry, you'll see me around.
Well, I would love for us to participate in a community cleanup,
Okay.
because I do that too. I've been trying to stay safe as much as possible, but I've always go back to my old neighborhood, which is Cascade. I recently did a community cleanup with one of the candidates. I didn't even know he was running. One of the candidates there. I've been over to Sherry area, which I'm born and raised anyway, and I've did some community cleanups over there. I've been invited up to I want to say maybe Edgewood. I haven't been able to make it. But I love doing those community cleanups because we have to take care of this earth. We have to take care of our environment. And it's truly rewarding for me just to get out and meet other people. And you're making a change and you're making a difference in the community as you're doing it. I do it here in my neighborhood. I did it twice, I believe. But I'm working on building a neighborhood watch because that's my thing in public safety. Because I think, a lot of the things that's happening, we could use communities looking out for each other, taking care of,
I
their neighbors.
agree, because I don't feel like personally the city can be everything to you. I think the city is the connector. I feel like, you're doing it, you're walking the walk, and I feel like we need more of that. Certainly leadership from the city and resources, but being the partner and help you connect with each other. And it's already there in the neighborhood planning unit. So throw me out some days, let me know when you'll be out. I'm happy to come and help.
I surely will do that. Thank you so much for taking out this Saturday morning with us, you guys. As you see, she is reachable. She wants to help and support, so please reach out to her. She left her contact information, and she planned on coming back. This is the second time I heard a candidate say, "Hey, let's follow up," and that's good because that let us know that you want to stay connected with the people in the community. So that's really good. It is such a pleasure to be here this morning. You have a great day. And if
Thank
it's anything that we can, just reach out to us. I'm always on social media all the time. So we will share this video with our parents, the ones who couldn't jump on, and we'll send it to you as well.
Great. Thank you. And please, I look forward to seeing you again.